The lawyer's office smelled like old books and furniture polish. I sat in a leather chair that was too big for me, waiting. My mother had been dead for 3 days. The funeral was yesterday, and now I was here for the reading of her will. My name is Emma Price. I'm 34 years old. And my mother, Margaret Price, died last Monday of a heart attack. She was 62, too young, too sudden, no warning. We weren't close. We'd been distant for years, ever since my father left when I was 8, ever since she remarried when I was 12, ever since I moved out at 18 and barely looked back. But she was still my mother. And I'd thought maybe after all these years, her will might contain something, an explanation, an apology, a bridge across the years of silence between us. The lawyer, Mr. Harrison, cleared his throat. He was old, probably 70, with glasses that kept sliding down his nose. Shall we begin? There were only 3 of us in the room. Me, my stepfather Richard, and my half-brother Tom, who was 20 and looked uncomfortable in his too tight suit. This is the last will and testament of Margaret Louise Price, Mr. Harrison read. His voice was monotone, like he'd done this 1,000 times before. I half listened as he read through the formal language. Then he got to the important part. To my husband Richard, I leave our house and all its contents, and my retirement accounts. Richard nodded, expected. To my son Thomas, I leave my car and the sum of $50,000 to be used for his education. Tom's eyes widened. He hadn't expected that much. And to my daughter Emma, Mr. Harrison paused, looked at me over his glasses. To my daughter Emma, I leave the contents of safety deposit box number 847 at First National Bank. That was it. No money, no jewelry, no family heirlooms. Just whatever was in a safety deposit box I didn't know existed. Richard and Tom got everything. I got a box. Is there anything else? I asked, my voice tight. That's all the will specifies, Mr. Harrison said. However, your mother left this note to be given to you. He handed me an envelope with my name written on it in my mother's handwriting. I took it but didn't open it. Not there, not in front of Richard and Tom. After the meeting, Richard approached me in the parking lot. Emma, I'm sure Margaret had her reasons for the way she divided things. If there's anything you need, I'm fine, I said shortly. I didn't expect anything anyway. That was true and not true. I hadn't expected money or property, but I'd expected something. Some acknowledgement, some sign that I'd mattered to her. Instead, I got a safety deposit box. I went home to my apartment, sat on my couch. Finally opened the envelope. The note was short. Just a few lines in my mother's neat handwriting. Emma, I know you're hurt. I know you feel forgotten, but please go to the bank. Open the box. Inside, you'll find something that will explain everything. Forgive me. Mom, forgive me. That's what she wanted. Forgiveness for what? For giving me nothing? For favoring Richard and Tom? For the years of distance between us? I didn't go to the bank that day or the next. I was angry, hurt. I'd lost my mother, and even in death, she'd chosen everyone else over me. But curiosity won out. 3 days after the will reading, I went to First National Bank with the key Mr. Harrison had given me. The bank manager, a woman named Patricia, led me to the vault. Your mother opened this box 20 years ago, she said as we walked. She came in regularly to check on it, at least once a year. 20 years ago, I would have been 14. Just 2 years after she married Richard, Patricia left me alone in a small private room with the safety deposit box. It was metal, about the size of a shoebox, and surprisingly heavy. I set it on the table. There was no lock on it now that I'd used the key to retrieve it from the vault. I could just open it, but I hesitated. My mother's note had said this would explain everything. What if I didn't want to know? What if the explanation was worse than the mystery? I opened the box. Inside was another smaller box. This one was wooden, old, with a small lock on it, and taped to the top was another note. Forgive me. Those words again. What had my mother done that required so much forgiveness? There was also a key taped next to the note. I peeled it off and used it to open the wooden box. Inside were documents, letters, photos, and a DVD in a plastic case labeled Emma. Watch this first. I gathered everything up and left the bank. I needed privacy for this. Whatever my mother wanted me to know, I needed to be home when I learned it. Back at my apartment, I put the DVD in my laptop, pressed play, and my mother's face filled the screen. She looked older in the video. This must have been recorded recently, maybe in the last few months. She was sitting in what looked like her bedroom, the room she'd shared with Richard. "Emma," she said, looking directly at the camera, "if you're watching this, I'm dead. And you're angry. You're angry because I left you nothing in my will. You're angry because I seem to favor Richard and Tom. You're angry because we've been distant for so many years." She paused, took a breath. "You have every right to be angry, but I need you to understand why I did what I did. And the only way I can do that is to tell you the truth. A truth I've kept hidden for 26 years. My heart started pounding. When you were 8 years old, your father left us. You remember that. What you don't know is why he left. The real reason." She looked down at her hands. "Your father didn't just leave. He was forced to leave by me because I found out something about him, something terrible, and I gave him a choice. Leave and never contact us again, or I'd go to the police." I stopped breathing. "Your father was stealing money from his employer. He'd been doing it for years, thousands and thousands of dollars. And when I found out, when I confronted him, he admitted it. He said he'd been gambling, that he owed people money, dangerous people." My mother's face on the screen was twisted with old pain. I was terrified. Not just of what he'd done, but of what would happen to us, to you, if he went to prison, if his debts came after our family. So I made a deal with him. He'd leave, disappear, pay back what he could to his employer and those people he owed. And in exchange, I wouldn't report him, and I'd tell you he just left, that he didn't want us anymore. Tears were running down her face now. "I thought I was protecting you. I thought it was better for you to believe your father abandoned us than to know the truth. That he was a criminal, that he'd put us in danger, that the reason he left was because of his own choices, his own crimes." She wiped her eyes. "But I was wrong. I see that now. The lie I told you poisoned everything. You thought your father didn't love you, that he chose to leave you, and you never forgave me for not being enough to make him stay, for marrying Richard so quickly, for moving on while you were still hurting." She took another shaky breath. "A few years after your father left, he contacted me. He said he'd paid his debts, gotten clean, wanted to see you, but I said no. I was scared. Scared he'd tell you the truth and you'd hate me for lying. Scared he'd come back into your life and disrupt the new family I'd built with Richard. So I kept him away. I kept him from you." I felt sick. "He tried for years, letters, calls, showing up at the house when you were at school. I blocked him every time, told him to stay away, threatened to report him if he didn't, and eventually he stopped trying." My mother looked directly into the camera. "10 years ago, I found out your father was dying. Cancer. He reached out one last time, begged to see you, and I said no. I thought I was protecting you. I thought knowing the truth would hurt you more than not knowing. So I kept it from you, and your father died 6 months later without ever seeing you again." The video continued, but I couldn't hear it over the ringing in my ears. My father had tried to come back. He'd wanted to see me, and my mother had kept him away. For 20 years, she'd kept him away, and then he died, without me ever knowing he'd tried. I paused the video, sat there in shock. My whole childhood, my whole understanding of my past was based on a lie. My father hadn't abandoned me. He'd been forced to leave, and then he'd been kept away by my mother. After a few minutes, I pressed play again. My mother was still talking. "In the box, you'll find letters. Letters your father wrote to you over the years. Letters I kept from you. There are 43 of them. One for every birthday, every Christmas, every major milestone he missed. He never stopped writing to you, Emma. Even when I wouldn't let him see you, even when I told him to stop. He kept writing, and I kept the letters, proof of my betrayal." She looked down again. "There are also documents about your father's crimes, about the deal I made with him, about his death. I want you to have the whole truth, not my version, the actual truth." She looked back up at the camera. And there's one more thing. Your father left you money. When he died, his entire estate went to you. $25,000. It's been sitting in a trust account for 10 years, waiting for you. I couldn't bring myself to tell you about it, because telling you about the money would mean telling you about his death. And telling you about his death would mean telling you the truth. So I kept it secret, added to my pile of lies. She was crying openly now. I know you hate me. I know you'll hate me more after this, but you need to understand. Everything I did because I thought I was protecting you. I was wrong. I see that now. But at the time, I thought keeping you from the truth was the kindest thing I could do. She wiped her face. I left you nothing in my will because I'd already left you everything that mattered. These letters, the truth, the money your father left you, that's your real inheritance. Not houses or cars or money from me, but the truth about your father, about why he left, about how much he loved you. She leaned closer to the camera. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need you to know your father loved you. He never stopped loving you. Every letter in that box is proof of that. He was a flawed man who made terrible mistakes, but he loved you, and I kept him from you. That's on me, not him, me. The video ended. The screen went black. And I sat there surrounded by the evidence of my mother's secret, her lie, her betrayal. I opened the wooden box again, started going through the contents, letters, dozens of them, all addressed to me in handwriting I didn't recognize. My father's handwriting. I opened the first one, dated the year after he left, my 9th birthday. Dear Emma, happy birthday, sweetheart. You're 9 years old today. I can't believe how fast you're growing up. I wanted to be there for your party, to see you blow out your candles, to give you the present I picked out. But your mother says I can't, and I understand why. I made mistakes, big mistakes, and now I'm paying for them. But I want you to know, even though I'm not there, I'm thinking about you. I love you always, Dad. I opened another one from Christmas when I was 12. Dear Emma, I hope you're having a good Christmas. I tried to see you last week. I waited outside your school. I just wanted to see your face, to make sure you were okay. But your mother saw me and told me to leave. She said seeing me would upset you. Maybe she's right. Maybe it's better this way. But Emma, I need you to know, I didn't want to leave. I had to. And I've regretted it every day since. Love, Dad. I read letter after letter, 43 of them, one for every year of my life from age 9 to age 32 when he died. He'd written about his life, his sobriety, his job as a mechanic, his regret, his love for me. In every single letter, he said he loved me. He missed me. He wished he could see me. He understood why he couldn't, but he wanted me to know he never stopped thinking about me. The last letter was written a month before he died. I was 32. He was 60. Dear Emma, this is the 43rd letter I've written to you. I've never sent any of them. Your mother keeps them, I think, or destroys them. I don't know. I hope someday you'll read them. I hope someday you'll know that I tried, that I wanted to be part of your life. I'm sick now. The doctors say I don't have much time, and I'm making peace with that. But the one thing I can't make peace with is never seeing you again, never getting to explain, never getting to say I'm sorry in person. If you ever read this, please know I loved you. I loved you from the moment you were born until the moment I died. You were the best thing I ever did, and losing you was my biggest regret. I hope you have a good life, Emma. I hope you're happy. That's all I ever wanted for you. Love forever, Dad. I put the letters down and cried. Big, ugly sobs that shook my whole body. My father had loved me. He'd never stopped loving me, and I'd never known. I'd spent 26 years believing he abandoned me, hating him for leaving, never knowing he'd tried to come back. When I finally stopped crying, I looked through the other documents in the box. There were police reports about the theft, documentation of the money my father had stolen and paid back, a copy of the agreement between my mother and father, and a death certificate. Michael Price, dead at 60 from pancreatic cancer. And there was paperwork about the trust account, $25,000 left to me, waiting for me to claim it. My father had left me money, not a lot, but something, a final gift, and my mother had kept that for me too. I sat there for hours, processing everything. My mother had lied to me my entire life. She'd kept my father from me. She'd robbed me of the chance to reconcile with him before he died. But she'd also kept these letters. Every single one. She hadn't destroyed them. She'd saved them. For 26 years, she'd kept evidence of her betrayal. Why? The answer was in her video, in the box labeled "Forgive me." She'd wanted me to know the truth. She'd known she was dying, or at least known she might die suddenly. And she'd prepared this confession, this evidence, this plea for forgiveness. I called my best friend Rachel. She came over immediately. "Emma, are you okay? You sounded weird on the phone." I showed her everything, the video, the letters, the documents. She read through it all, her face growing more shocked with each piece. "I can't believe your mother kept this from you," Rachel said finally. "All these years." "I know. Are you okay?" "I don't know. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm confused. My father loved me. He tried to come back, and I never knew." "What are you gonna do?" "I don't know." Over the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about my mother, about why she'd done what she did. She'd said she was protecting me, but was she? Or was she protecting herself? Protecting her new life with Richard? Protecting her secret? I started asking questions, called my mother's old friends, my aunts and uncles, people who'd known her and my father. Slowly, I pieced together more of the story. My father's gambling had been bad, really bad. He'd been in debt to dangerous people, people who'd threatened our family. My mother had been terrified. She'd made the deal with my father to keep us safe. But after he left, after he got clean and paid his debts, she'd kept him away for different reasons. Pride, shame, fear that I'd choose him over her, fear that her new husband wouldn't understand. She'd made a choice, and she'd stuck with it. Even when it meant keeping a father from his daughter, even when it meant I grew up thinking I wasn't wanted. A week after finding the box, I went to my mother's grave. It was a cold November day. The headstone was new, the ground still unsettled. I stood there for a long time, then I finally spoke. "I found your box. I watched the video. I read all the letters. 43 letters, Mom. From a man who loved me and wanted to know me. And you kept them all from me." The wind blew through the cemetery. "I understand why you made him leave. He was sick. He was dangerous. You were protecting me. I get that. But why did you keep him away after, when he got better? When he just wanted to see me?" No answer, just the wind. "You said you thought you were protecting me. But I think you were protecting yourself. You didn't want your new life disrupted. You didn't want Richard to know the whole truth. You didn't want to explain to me why you'd lied." I sat down on the grass next to her grave. "I'm so angry with you. For lying. For keeping my father from me. For letting me believe I wasn't wanted. But I'm also sad. Because you're gone now. And I can't confront you. I can't yell at you. I can't make you explain yourself face to face. All I have is a video and a box of old letters." I pulled out one of my father's letters, the one from my 16th birthday. "Dad wrote about you, in his letters. He didn't hate you. He understood why you made him leave. He said you were protecting me, that you always did what you thought was right, even when it was hard, even when it cost you." I read from the letter. "Your mother is a good woman, Emma. She made me leave because I put you in danger, and she's right to keep me away. I'm not safe for you, not yet. Maybe not ever. But she loves you. Remember that. Whatever happens, she loves you." I put the letter away. He defended you. In almost every letter, he said you were doing the right thing, even though it hurt him, even though it meant he couldn't see me. He understood. Tears ran down my face. "I don't know if I can forgive you." "You asked me to. In your note. In your video. Forgive me, you said. Like it was simple. Like 26 years of lie could be erased with an apology." I stood up. "But maybe forgiveness isn't about you. Maybe it's about me. About letting go of the anger. about understanding that people make mistakes, that you made a choice you thought was right, and then you couldn't figure out how to undo it. I touched her headstone. You left me nothing in your will. No money, no property, just this box of secrets and pain and complicated truths. But maybe that's exactly what I needed. Not things, but answers about why my father left, about why we were never close, about why you kept so many secrets. I turned to leave, then stopped. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understand you a little better now, and maybe that's enough. I went home and called the bank handling the trust account my father had left. Started the process of claiming the money. $25,000. A gift from a man I barely remembered. A final act of love from someone I'd thought didn't love me at all. I also called a private investigator. I wanted to know more about my father's last years, where he lived, what he did, who he was. The investigator's report came back 2 weeks later. My father had lived in a small apartment across town. He'd worked as a mechanic. He'd been sober for 23 years. He'd had friends, a girlfriend, a life. He talked about me constantly, the investigator reported. His friends all knew he had a daughter he couldn't see. He'd showed them pictures of me. Pictures he must have gotten somehow. Maybe from my mother's social media. Maybe from seeing me from a distance. He'd been following my life, even though he couldn't be part of it. The investigator also found something else. A storage unit, rented in my father's name. Still paid for, but untouched since his death. The girlfriend has the key, the investigator told me. She said your father told her if anything happened to him, she should give it to you. But she didn't know how to find you. I met the girlfriend, a woman named Susan, at a coffee shop. She was in her 60s, kind face, nervous. You look just like him, she said when she saw me. Your father. You have his eyes. Oh, you knew him? For the last 5 years of his life, we were together. He was a good man, Emma. He made mistakes when he was young, but he spent the rest of his life trying to make up for them. Did he talk about me? All the time, you were his biggest regret. Not being part of your life. He understood why your mother kept you apart, but it killed him. Every birthday, every milestone, he'd get quiet, sad, missing you. She handed me a key. This is for his storage unit. He told me to give it to you if anything happened. Said there were things in there you should have. The storage unit was small, just 10 feet by 10 feet, but it was full of things for me. Birthday presents he'd bought but never given, Christmas presents, graduation gifts, all carefully wrapped and labeled with the year they were for. There was a bike for my 10th birthday, a laptop for high school graduation, a necklace for my 21st birthday, a set of tools for my first apartment. Every major milestone represented, every year remembered. He'd been buying me presents for 26 years, presents he knew he'd never get to give me, storing them, hoping that someday, somehow I'd receive them. I sat down on the concrete floor of the storage unit and cried again. My father had loved me so much, in ways I was only now discovering. There was also a letter, not one of the 43 in my mother's box, a different letter, seal, with instructions written on the outside, to Emma, to be given to her after my death. Please make sure she gets this. I opened it with shaking hands. Dear Emma, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I hope your mother finally told you the truth about why I left, about how I tried to come back, about how much I loved you. If she didn't tell you, then I hope you found this storage unit, found these gifts, found some proof that you mattered to me, that you were always on my mind. I made terrible choices when you were young. I stole money, I gambled, I put you and your mother in danger, and I paid for those choices. I lost you. The most important person in my life. I lost you. Your mother was right to make me leave. I was toxic, dangerous. But I got better, Emma. I got sober. I paid back what I owed. I became a better person, and I tried to come back to you. Your mother wouldn't let me, and I understood. She was protecting you. From me, from my past, from the truth. I don't blame her. I blame myself for being the kind of person she needed to protect you from. I hope you have a good life. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone to love who treats you better than I treated your mother. I hope you never make the mistakes I made. And I hope someday you can forgive me for leaving, for not fighting harder to come back, for dying without ever seeing you again. I love you, Emma. I always have. I always will. Even from beyond the grave. Your father, Michael. I stayed in that storage unit for hours, looking at the presents, reading the letter over and over, trying to reconcile the father I'd thought I had with the father I was discovering. The father who'd abandoned me didn't exist. He never had. He was a fiction created by my mother to protect me from a harder truth. The real father was this man who'd made mistakes and spent his life regretting them. This man who'd bought presents for birthdays he couldn't celebrate. This man who'd written letters he couldn't send. This man who'd loved me from a distance because that was all he was allowed. I called Rachel again, told her about the storage unit, the presents, the letter. Emma, this is a lot. Are you okay? I don't know. My whole life was based on a lie. My father didn't abandon me. My mother kept us apart. And now they're both dead, and I can't talk to either of them about it. What do you want to do? I want to be angry, but I don't know who to be angry at. My father for making the choices that caused all this. My mother for lying and keeping us apart. Myself for never questioning the story. You were a child. You believed what you were told. But I'm not a child now. I'm 34, and I spent all these years thinking my father didn't love me, hating him for leaving, when the truth was so much more complicated. So what now? I don't know. I spent the next month sorting through everything. The letters from my father, the presents in the storage unit, the documents about his crimes and his redemption, the money he'd left me. I also spent time thinking about my mother, about her choices, about why she did what she did. She'd been young when my father left, only 28, a single mother with an 8-year-old daughter, scared, alone, dealing with the aftermath of her husband's crimes. She'd made a choice to protect me from the truth, and then she'd stuck with that choice, even when it stopped being about protection and started being about pride, about not wanting to admit she'd lied, about not wanting to disrupt her new life with Richard. She'd made mistakes, big ones, but she'd also kept those letters, all 43 of them. She could have destroyed them, thrown them away, pretended they never existed, but she didn't. She saved them, put them in a box, left them for me. That had to mean something. I went back to her grave. It was December now, cold and gray. The first snow of winter was starting to fall. I've been thinking, I said to her headstone, about forgiveness, about what you asked for, and I realize I've been asking the wrong question. I've been asking if I can forgive you, but maybe the question is whether I can understand you. I brushed snow off the headstone. You were scared. You were protecting me, and then you were protecting yourself, protecting the life you'd built, and you got stuck in the lie, unable to figure out how to tell the truth without destroying everything. I sat down on the cold ground. I found Dad's storage unit. All those presents, all those years of him thinking about me, buying things for me, hoping someday I'd get them. And I did, because of you, because you left me that box, because you told me the truth, even though it was too late. The snow fell around me. You left me nothing in your will, but you left me everything that mattered. The truth about my father, about why he left, about how much he loved me. You gave me back the father I thought I'd lost. And maybe that's worth more than money or property or things. I stood up. I forgive you. Not because what you did was right, but because I understand why you did it. Because keeping those letters means you knew. You knew someday I'd need to know the truth. And you made sure I'd find it, even if it meant making yourself the villain of the story. I touched her headstone one last time. Thank you. For the box, for the truth, for keeping those letters, for letting me know my father loved me. That's the greatest gift you could have given me. I walked away from the grave, feeling lighter than I had in months. My mother left me nothing in her will, just a locked box labeled "Forgive me." But inside that box was everything. The truth about my father, about his love for me, about the complicated circumstances that kept us apart, about the choices my mother made, right and wrong. She left me 43 letters proving I was loved. She left me presents from a father who never stopped thinking about me. She left me money he'd saved to give me one last gift. She left me answers to questions I'd been asking my whole life. She left me the truth. And the truth set me free, free from the anger I'd carried for 26 years, free from the belief that I wasn't wanted, free from the confusion about why my father left. The box labeled "Forgive Me" wasn't empty. It was full of love and regret and complicated truths, full of evidence that both my parents, in their flawed ways, loved me. My father loved me enough to leave when I was in danger, to get clean, to try to come back, to write letters for years, knowing I might never read them, to buy presents I might never receive, to leave me everything he had when he died. My mother loved me enough to make my father leave when he was dangerous, to keep those letters when she could have destroyed them, to prepare the box knowing it might make me hate her, to tell me the truth even though it cost her everything. They were both flawed people who made mistakes, but they loved me, and I'm choosing to remember that, to focus on that, to forgive them both for the ways they failed me and honor them for the ways they tried. My mother left me nothing in her will, just a locked box labeled "Forgive Me." And inside that box, I found everything I needed. Not things, but truth. Not money, but love. Not possessions, but answers. She knew what I needed, even if she couldn't give it to me while she was alive. She made sure I got it after she died. And for that, I forgive her. The locked box labeled "Forgive Me" wasn't a final insult, it was a final gift. The most important gift she could have given me: the truth. And the truth was, I was loved by both my parents in complicated, messy, imperfect ways, but loved. And now I know, and knowing makes all the difference.